I'm putting this little video out to give you some information for those of you who haven't cruised before. So here goes. What's included in the total price that you will end up paying? The cruise line. Well, first, let me tell you, what's included is your cabin, which is always going to be made up for you and kept clean by your room steward. Your meals in the dining room, the buffet, the pizza shop, the Blue Iguana Cantina, the burger joint, room service from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., the barbecue place, coffee, lemonade, iced tea, juice, milk, and all the ice cream you can eat, in addition to pizza, freshly made, and salads at the 24-hour pizzeria. Also, nightly Las Vegas style entertainment, dance clubs, and live music all over the ship every day. When you cruise, the cruise line's going to quote you a price per person for that trip. That price is what the cruise line makes. There are other costs involved, and I'm going to break them down for you here. The first additional cost is the government taxes and port fees. Those are paid to the government and to the ports that the ship is going to be visiting. Every port that the cruise ship visits charges the cruise line a certain amount per passenger that they are carrying, whether or not the passenger gets off the ship at the port or not. The cruise line passes that cost on to the passenger. Another fee is gratuities. On a cruise ship, you're practically treated like royalty. Your room, which is called your cabin or stateroom, is made up after you leave for breakfast, and then the room is turned down for you around dinner time. You may never actually see your cabin steward, but he is hard at work keeping your cabin clean and tidy. Also at dinner, your waiter, assistant waiter, head waiter, and maitre d' are working diligently to make sure your dining experience is an unforgettable event. Let me tell you, I once went on a cruise, and I always ask for Tabasco sauce because I like my food spicy. Also, the group at my table was changing the chairs that we sat in every dinner service. By the fourth night, the waiter had my Tabasco sauce on the table before we arrived, and he even correctly guessed where I would be sitting that night. On another cruise, my grandmother was with us, and she wanted creme brulee for dessert. It wasn't on the menu that day, but the waiter had the chef make her one, and he even brought 3 more for the entire group to enjoy. The room stewards, waiters, and assistants also work on other parts of the ship during their 18-hour days, and they only make about $75 a month salary. Their pay is primarily consisting of the tips and gratuities that they make from their assigned cruise passengers. So it's in their best interest to treat you well so that you'll feel good about the tips you pay at the end of your cruise. Tips are generally charged to your onboard account automatically and are currently billed at around $10 to $14 per day per person. That amount is divided amongst the room steward, the waiter, the assistant waiter, the head waiter, and the maitre d' of the dining room. Here's the good part. You're always free to pay in cash, and you're free to even change the amount that's going to be billed by simply visiting guest services. I personally feel that I don't want to be charged the full amount for children traveling with us, so I have in the past modified that amount. You're certainly free to change it to whatever you feel is fair. Finally, the last fee is your own spending during the trip. There will be many, and I do mean many, opportunities to spend additional money on the trip. Some of them are for sodas, photos everywhere. Photos are being taken everywhere. On the ship, off the ship, and you can pay for those pictures. Shops on board the ship. Every ship has its very own shopping mall with some very cheap duty-free prices. Shore excursions, which I usually book myself off the ship because it's much cheaper that way. Any shopping you do in the port, any eating and drinking you do while visiting a port, local transportation at the port. There's also onboard bingo, the ship's casino, the sushi bar on board the ship, steakhouse, specialty restaurants. They all cost a little bit extra per person. room service after 10 p.m., and of course, there's the cost of alcoholic beverages, which is automatically including a 15% gratuity in the price that they charge you, so you don't need to tip anymore. I have some valuable tips on alcohol, which I can tell you about personally. Finally, there's going to be parking at the cruise terminal, which could be up to $20 per day, or the cost of a group shuttle. It can add up, but as I have been on 14 cruises, I have a goldmine of experience and information and tips for you on how you can save money and make the most out of that money.